All right, no surprise. Number 1 overall, Caleb Williams, as expected. Connor, what are you expecting from him immediately off the bat in Chicago?
This is an easy pick for the Bears. I like that they decided to restart at this position. You trade Justin Fields. You get a better passer in Caleb Williams. This is a guy that full field reader, limitless arm, very twitchy in and out of the pocket, can create explosive plays. Yes, he gets caught hunting some of those explosive plays too much. I think it's because he was on a USC team that the defense was awful. He knew he needed to put up 40 points every single night. But Caleb Williams comes into a situation where he's throwing a Keenan Allen. He's got DJ Moore. That offensive line's coming together. This is just a slam dunk for the Bears.
Yeah, by the way, I've also been described as very twitchy, but not in a positive way, the way you just used it as a compliment for Caleb Williams. I think the interesting thing is here, this is a guy who had back-to-back seasons in college with 10 rushing touchdowns or more. So the fact of the matter is will he use his legs? Because if he uses his legs, to your point, like Shane Waldron's the offense coordinator in Chicago. He had a lot of success, obviously, with Geno and also Russell Wilson before him in Seattle. So here's an offense that, like, again, with Moore and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet, by the way, and Gerald Everett is not a nothing, and DeAndre Swift, who should be used in the passing game. If he can do that along with his using his legs, suddenly he's in that, he's a borderline QB1 as a rookie.
Yeah, I think the sneaky thing, too, is with
Fantasy-wise, obviously.
Chicago might just be really good, like from the get-go. They had arguably the best defense in the NFL the back half of last season. Their offensive line is better. They have all these weapons. If Caleb Williams comes in, he doesn't need to be C.J. Stroud from last year, but if he's somewhere in that kind of world, Bears could win the division. They're plus 370 to win the NFC North now. That division is loaded, but I think Chicago is going to be very exciting beginning this season.
He comes into a situation for a rookie quarterback that I don't think anyone has ever had in that situation with that much talent around him. I mean, Stroud, obviously, it stepped up, but honestly, they're making this a successful landing spot for Caleb Williams.
With the second overall pick in the NFL draft, the Washington Commanders take Jaden Daniels.
Not his name. Not his name. Future Hall of Famer Jaden Daniels, now a member of my Washington Commanders. Super Bowl, here we come.
Does this plaque go alongside future Hall of Famer Sam Howell?
It does. Okay. It does. Although I've heard rumors Howell may now go in as a Seahawk. It doesn't matter. Yes, Jaden Daniels is a future Hall of Famer. I'm on board. So sure, maybe he took too many sacks in college and he's not particularly big, and as you said, maybe only an average arm. Whatever. The fact of the matter is, Jaden Daniels, you just saw that, 12,000 passing yards, 3,000 rushing yards in college, only FBS quarterback there. He had 22 touchdowns on deep passes for LSU last year. Helps when you have, Malik Neighbors.
Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah,
that's okay.
Too.
We don't have to talk about that.
But whatever. Fact of the matter is, here's the thing. He's going to a team with guys that can fly, right? Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson as well, and Cliff Kingsbury as his coach. It's a fantasy-friendly offense. Remember, Kyler Murray under Cliff Kingsbury was quarterback 5 on a points per game basis from 2019 to 2022 under Kingsbury, given the rushing ability and the fact that Sam Howell was a top 10 quarterback fantasy-wise last year for a bad Commanders team. I think Jaden Daniels will challenge Caleb Williams to be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy this year among rookies.
Connor, statistically, what do you think he'll be in year 1?
Oh, it's a good one. I think he's going to run a lot, right? And he's going to run a lot to make up for, he's a guy that likes to see it and throw it rather than throw with anticipation. And that's okay. We've seen young quarterbacks come into the league and be able to run themselves out of trouble. So I like the upside of the rushing. You could see him getting to 700-plus yards. What I wonder is the touchdown equity for him, because he's not a big guy. He needs to learn how to protect his body. He took some big-time hits in college. So when you get into the red area, do they go, hey, we're going to kind of spread the field out. We're going to lean on our running backs a little more, which they have plenty of talent back there. It's going to be interesting how they use him with that. But the mobility's off the charts. I like the release. He's a touch thrower, not a bazooka kind of arm. But with Cliff Kingsbury, that's a good fit.
Third overall pick, Drake May, North Carolina to the Patriots. No real surprise here, but Connor, Drake May is a pretty divisive quarterback. What are the Patriots getting?
I mean, they're getting my number 2 quarterback in the draft, and a guy that, listen, great. I understand.
Washington's already screwed up the draft. We're 3 picks in.
I understand the concerns. This is somebody that in a really bad offense developed bad habits this year, throwing in a triple coverage, throwing off the back foot, trying to do too much. But he's a young quarterback. I mean, also, his mobility is underrated. He's forced 47 missed tackles over the last 2 years. He was a creative runner in 2022. I feel like he got a little worn down in 2023. 77 big-time throws over the last 2 years. Those are pro throws by PFF's metric. Those are the special, doing the most with that. Bucket throws, big-time arm. Listen, You'd love him to go into a situation like this where he's going to sit behind Jacoby Brissett and he's going to marinate in that offense a little bit. He needs the game to slow down for him, but in terms of talent, this is the upside to be a top 12 quarterback.
Love the use of marinate there, Matthew. We need to use that in draft chat more often.
We certainly will. I'm going to marinate in that analysis. I mean, I just think fantasy-wise, he strikes me as kind of a deep 2-quarterback league guy, as a bye-week guy, until we see if the rushing production comes there. My guess is that it's still going to be somewhat of a conservative offense, play good defense, run the ball. I know it's a whole new coaching staff there, but still, the fact of the matter is when you look around the skill players in the passing game and the fact that Dre may, as you mentioned, need some seasoning.
He shouldn't start.
He shouldn't start. I think maybe second half of the year you could see him again, bye-week fill and that sort of type, but probably not somebody you're drafting in redraft this year.
Yep. I think Connor, pretty safe to say that he is more of a project quarterback and probably won't statistically have the production that Caleb Williams and Jane Daniels will initially.
No, and I don't think they'll, to Matthew's point, want to put him in that position, right, where you're asking him to do much. This is a team that's still rebuilding the roster. You don't want to throw them into the fire. They do have picks the next couple of days where they're going to make this offense better, but I would limit your fantasy expectations for Drake May in year one.
All right, we have our first stunner of the draft. I'm stunned by this. Consider me stunned, 8th overall to the Atlanta Falcons, who have a quarterback man in Kirk Cousins already. Right. They take Michael Penix Jr.
$100 million. I mean, it's not just a quarterback. It's not like, we have a quarterback. Yeah. They spent $100 million guaranteed for Kirk Cousins for the next 2 years. By the way, this is what's amazing here is that now everyone's going to be like, what were the Falcons thinking? And Washington's off the hook for once.
Nobody will talk about it.
Yeah, no one's talking about what the hell was Washington doing, which is everything. Like on one hand, Connor, we were talking off the air, good for Michael Penix because It's been a long road to get here for him, and there are a lot of questions and tough last game as a college player. But so good for him. On the other hand, he's now a top 10 pick, top 8 pick, right? But on the other hand, bad for him because he's going to sit behind Kirk Cousins for the next 2 years. They're paying him way too much money to not play Kirk Cousins.
It is a really interesting situation when you look at the divide and how Kirk Cousins is going to feel about this as well after signing there. Now, what I will say about this, my bold prediction was that he would go before J.J. McCarthy.
Nice job, good call.
I thought it was going to be 11 to Minnesota. This is a big surprise. I thought Michael Penix would go either to Minnesota or the Raiders where he's the guy from day one.
Denver. He'd be a starter in Denver, too.
He had a long college career. He's one of the most pro-ready, I think, the best pocket passer in this draft. Big howitzer of an arm. The situation is very, very murky for him, from day one. He's a talented player. I know people are going to clown this pick or make jokes about it. I thought he was the third best quarterback in the draft. But you're right, Matthew. The usage of assets of whatever's going on in Atlanta is very interesting.
It's a weird one. Like, do they suddenly trade Kirk Cousins? I don't know what they're doing here. You can never have too many good quarterbacks, this is what happened when they drafted Cousins, when the Commanders drafted Cousins and they already had RG3. You can never have too many good quarterbacks. It's an asset. Yep. But still, fantasy-wise, Michael Penix has no value except for dynasty leagues because he's not going to start as long as Kirk Cousins is there.
We're going to be talking about this one for months. Okay, well, the draft has officially gone off the rails. The Vikings trade with the Jets to 10. They take J.J. McCarthy. They get their quarterback. Not sure this is how they envision the draft going, though, Connor.
No, and the movement here, right? They were at 11. They just flipped to 10. Tells you a little bit of panic. I think Michael Penix going 8th set the NFL draft on fire and set the NFL world of quarterback-needy teams on fire. I felt like Penix was kind of the sleeper agent of this quarterback class, and I think there were some big fans of his in Minnesota's building, and I think Minnesota, as soon as he went off the board, if we don't get aggressive now for McCarthy, they probably were out on Bo Nix. This is it. This is it right here. It's going to get scary quick.
Guys, it's going to be expensive. Our choice is Sam Darnold. Pay what we got to pay.
Make the call.
Make the call.
And you know what? A couple mid-round picks to the Jets, a good flip for them. I bet there's some disappointment, though, that it wasn't Michael Penix that they ended up with. I'm telling you right now, I don't think. The Falcons taking Penix at 8 surprised multiple teams behind them that thought they had it in the bag.
Think about if you're Minnesota. You stole Kirk Cousins and you stole Penix.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, they hate him in Minnesota.
Fall to your knees and look at the sky.
Falcons.
Man.
I will say this, though, from a rookie fantasy perspective, and we've seen what C.J. Stroud did, right? In terms of a rookie non-running quarterback coming in. Like, J.J. McCarthy lands in a great situation where he's playing in a dome. He gets to throw to Justin Jefferson. He gets to throw to Jordan Addison. He gets to throw to T.J. Hawkinson. Like, all of a sudden, J.J. McCarthy is suddenly really interesting as a QB2. in this offense with Kevin O'Connell calling plays.
What a landing spot, Matthew.
Really great landing spot for him.
Looks like the Falcons just traded for Justin Jefferson and Randy Moss.
Exactly.
So yeah, the show goes on.
It's just like, I'm just seriously, they're just like, Falcons.
How could you keep doing? You can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, exactly.
12th overall pick in the NFL draft, the Denver Broncos take Bo Nix, 6th quarterback off the board already through
Good
12
on your
picks.
bold prediction.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
The pick to spare in the 6th and first 13. Bo has been linked to the Broncos for a little while now. What do you think of the pick, Connor?
Well, I think it's a good fit with Sean Payton, right? Bo is a point guard in this offense for Oregon the last 2 years. He really reinvented himself since transferring from Auburn, where you saw the athleticism outside of the pocket to throw on the run. You saw the ability to throw with timing. And his ability pre-snap, he didn't take really any sacks the last 2 years. His ability pre-snap to understand where the pressure was coming from and throw it hot. He's not a guy that I'm going to put the team on my back and run for 50 yards and throw all these bombs down the field in the vertical offense. And I think this is early. Let me be honest with you. I thought Bo was a second-round pick. I don't think he's ever going to be this top 12 to 15 quarterback. I think he's always going to be better than the backup, so he's somewhere in the middle. But the Broncos had to come out of this draft with a quarterback, and Sean Payton was clearly very comfortable with Bo Nix because they never really showed interest of moving up for him.
I mean, they already have Zach Wilson, so I mean, you could argue they already have a quarterback. And Ben DiNucci. Here's the thing about Bo Nix, though, right? 38 career rushing touchdowns, also very mobile inside the red zone, around the goal line. You think about how Sean Payton used Taysom Hill in New Orleans, and also what he likes about Drew Brees, right? That short passing, the accurate passing. So he kind of gets both with Bo Nix. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Drew Brees, or maybe not even as Taysom Hill, but to the point of like what Sean Payton wants to accomplish in Denver, I think Bo Nix can do that, which is one of the reasons why they make this selection here. It's a good landing spot for Bo Nix, who should start right away.
Yeah, he should. And look, last year it just never felt like Peyton really wanted Russell Wilson. It always felt like an awkward marriage, and now he gets his guy to run the offense how he wants to do it. So, look, it doesn't seem like there's an amazing ceiling, but it could look a little more fluent than it did last year.
Meanwhile, by the way, Michael Penix, the one guy, like, how am I not starting? 6 quarterbacks go in the first 12 picks. All 5 of them land in pretty good spots.
I thought he was the most ready. Him and Bo were the most pro-ready.
Penix sits for a couple of years. What are you going to do?
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.